afternoon, good morning, good evening, good anytime that you are tuning into It's Naturally Not. How are you? How are you doing on whatever day you were having to watch this? Perhaps a Sunday when I post most of my videos. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I'm in kind of a jolly little quiet mood because there's a robin outside my window, and I don't know about my neighborhood, but I don't know if in my neighborhood robins stick around in the winter, or if they do, they're depressed or something. They don't sing, but but there's a robin that's singing right outside my window, and it sounds so beautiful. I love that. I love spring, and one of the things I love about spring, as you remember from last spring's videos, is I love happy houring. And for happy houring, it's not so much the booze. You can have a boozeless happy hour. It's about the quiet time. It's almost like, I think of my paternal grandmother, who was 100% Swedish, fika time. She would have fika time every day, every afternoon, and it was a time for quietness and gathering with a loved one and having a cup of tea or coffee and a sweet. I've just elevated and changed it to making it my own type of fika time, which is a little more like happy hour, because I'm a savory girl anyway. Nothing wrong with tea and a sweet, but I'd rather have a cocktail and a salty. So, we're going to make a appetizer type of cheese today that's spreadable, that you've probably had before. I've seen at the grocery store. Okay, let me explain what that is. So, Boursin is the name of I think is the style of the cheese, or the company, Boursin, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. Is a type of whipped, I think it's a French cheese that you can get at most grocery stores. Even in the barren, foodless place that I live that has terrible grocery stores, even they carry it. So if they carry it, it's carried all over the U.S. Boursin cheese. And what that is this light whipped buttery cheese with herbs in it, and it's delicious. And if you've ever brought it to a party, right, contributed it with some nice table crackers, you know it's always gone, and you don't have to bring any home because it's just an empty plastic carton left. But it's expensive, even made more so now with what's going on with the price of things, and you can make it at home and it's better, okay? If you have herbs growing in your garden, even better, right? But you don't have to. You can use dried herbs. It's still going to be wonderful. You're going to get a lot more, and it's going to be fresh. Boursin cheese, this spreadable cheese, okay? And it just needs a few ingredients that you might happen to have on hand. Cottage cheese, cream cheese, and herbs from your cabinet. I'm surprised that didn't make my girls bark, but you know how they are. They will at some point. And some fresh garlic. Okay, so you need to do it in the blender, though, because whether you have small curd cottage cheese or large curd cottage cheese, you're going to need to blend that down, right? I don't know if you could do it with an immersion blender. You probably could, but you'd be going like this over and over and over, so I would do it in a very small bowl. That might be the trick to that. You could also do it in a food processor, but like I've mentioned before, mine's buried somewhere in storage and I don't even know what box, so I'm stuck with my blender. Okay? Let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how utterly simple and easy it is to make this Boursin style cheese. Okay? So we're going to need a little bit of butter, and of course, you know me, I never remember to set it out the night before, so I barely microwaved it. If you ever do that and have over microwaved before, set it on your lowest power, like 50%, and that won't happen. I sometimes forget, I do it at full percent, and then you end up with a pile of melted butter, right, that you cannot use in your dish, right? You have to have most butters when they say that room temperature, they do indeed mean that, okay? I have some cottage cheese here, and I forgot to say the amounts. Let me get my recipe out here. That is technically, how much butter was that? 2 tablespoons of softened butter. I generally use salted, but you could use unsalted and add salt to this. We have a half a cup of cottage cheese, a small curd. And I tend to like Daisy. I think it's better quality, but I did find one house brand that I liked. That's a good substitute because Daisy's kind of spendy, but if you can, Daisy's the best, I think, all the way around for sour cream in recipes and cottage cheese. Okay? Then I'm going to You don't have to be quite as cautious when you're softening cream cheese up. You don't have to be quite as cautious as butter. You still got to keep an eye on it, right? It doesn't go from firm to complete liquid like butter can do, right? So I'm going to give this just a quick blast to make it. You want to make it easier on your, on your blender or on your food processor, whichever you're going to use. I'm going to give this 8. Let's see. There we go. 8 seconds at about 60% power. Ought to do it. If you hear it snap, crackle, pop. I don't know why cream cheese and butter do that in the microwave, but they do. It's probably just having to do with the fat content maybe in that. Let's see. I'm going to give it just a couple seconds more, just so it's not so hard on my blender. Okay, let's maybe a few seconds on high. Let's give that a check. Maybe a few more. You're probably like, how many times are you going to say a few more blasts? But I think this time we'll do it. The third time's the lucky charm. Okay. This is a really herb-forward dish, and I wish I could put all of my herbs, because I do have some herbs that come up every year into this, but mine aren't peeking out yet. Darn it. My chives are just a little bit, but if I harvested them all, then they would be gone. So I'm going to let them get hardy. Chives are really easy to grow, and if you have even just a windowsill you can grow them in, I recommend that you do, because you can use them in so many things. This is just right. Jiggly. That's exactly how you want that. Whoops. A whole 8 ounces. You could use the lowered fat cream cheese. Just keep in mind that'll make it a little runnier. Okay? When we make this dip, it is good on everything. It is good on crostini. Right? I'm going to make some crostini today. It is good on table crackers, plain crackers, buttery crackers, like a house cracker. It is so good. It is also good with raw vegetables. So pepper strips, carrot strips. It is even good enough to go to in your PJs in the middle of the night, open the refrigerator door and stick a spoon in and eat a bite. I'm not kidding. It's that good with the herbs in this and the garlic. Okay? Next we got, and again, the herbs you can use, except for the chives, I'd make sure those are fresh. The dried kind work absolutely fine. And I've got 2 tablespoons here of parsley. As always, I'll put the recipe down below in the comments. Then I have 2 tablespoons. I love the smell of chives. It's just spring, isn't it? And actually I have a little bit more than 2 tablespoons, about 2.5, because I just love them. Okay. Then we're going to put in, what is in here? This is half a teaspoon of tarragon, a quarter of a teaspoon of dried basil. I love tarragon. Tarragon is one of the herbs that I have that hasn't come up yet. And I hope it does come up, because it was kind of an expensive herb to start. Then you're going to use both peppers. I have some freshly ground white pepper that I ground myself, that I used this for, and some pepper in it, some freshly ground black pepper. A little bit more black pepper than white pepper, but you can change these to your own, to suit your own tastes. All right, I have here 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper and a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and I think that's what I basically did. Okay, and then you'll want 2 or 3, or even 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, depending on how big they are. And I've got some different sizes here. Right, I've got like the Goldilocks of cloves here. I've got one that's too small, one that's medium, and one that's large. So I'm using 3. If you don't have one of these garlic presses, boy, I swear by them. I'm going to cut these in half so they cut up better, because these are really helpful to have. They make the garlic uniform, which is really nice. So you don't end up biting on one chunk, especially if you're having dip like this at a party and then have scary breath all night. One big chunk of garlic can give you some pretty funky, funky breath. And these are easy to clean too. I just use a fingernail or like kind of like a fingernail brush thing to clean it, and it just cleans really easy. I don't even know. I've had this for so long, I can't even remember when I got it, right? But I do recommend getting a steel one, right? Because get one once, never buy one ever again. You don't want to get something cheap. No plastic parts. There we go. So there's the cloves. I've got my cottage cheese, my cream cheese in here. Let's give her a couple blasts here with my old faithful garage sale fine blender that I got in college. Kind of like, do you guys remember last winter or the winter, 2 winters before? Geez, I think it was 3 winters before on this channel. I made that beer pub cheese. Oh my gosh, that Wisconsin style cheese. Remember that in this blender? That took lots of blasts because I call that, whenever I run the microwave or the blender, I call them blasts. Lots of blasts because you were kind of emulsifying the cheese into the beer, right? This is so much easier. This is almost there. In fact, besides just mixing this, what you're really wanting to do, that's why I put the cottage cheese down at the bottom. Oh man, that smells good. What you're really wanting to do is just really pulverize that cottage cheese. And I'm doing this on high. I think we're about there. One thing that I just noticed, if you saw me looking at my recipe card, this doesn't have any salt in it. And I was thinking, I wonder why that is, and should I add it? But I'm going to say the reason why it's not in this is because salt sometimes can leach water out of dairy products and make things runny. If you've made the Greek tzatziki sauce before, and then the next day looked at it in the fridge, it gets watery. Part of that is the cucumber, but if you added salt to that, which you probably did, it leaches the water out of things really quickly. So, I mean, you could add salt, but I would say if you were going to, make it a light hand. Oh man, this smells so good. Oh, insane. I think I can see just a little bit. Scrape down the sides just like you would if you were using a stand mixer. And I think I see just a tiny bit. There's my spoon holder. I think I see a tiny bit of cottage cheese, so I'm going to give it one more good blast, okay? I think we're there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably store it in the fridge in this, which is a good way to store it. It lasts up to about 10 days. It depends really on how fresh your cottage cheese is. I'm going to probably give some of this away because my cottage cheese, not that it was bad, there was nothing wrong with it, but my cottage cheese isn't super fresh. I opened it probably over a week ago, so I'm going to want to consume this within a reasonable amount of time. I might bring some as part of my lunch to dip carrots in. That would be super yummy. In fact, my sister's belongs to a supper club, dinner party club in St. Louis, and where each couple in the group have a supper club meeting, dinner party, one night a month, and it's really kind of fancy schmancy, and this would be perfect at that as an appetizer with cocktails. I just don't think I've given her this recipe yet. Ha! But with anything like this, like with dips, and you know I have a series on dips from last summer that I did on this show, you'll want to let this melt Oh man, that looks good. You can see just the lightest, if you will, lightest tiny, a little bit of yellow to that from the butter. It smells so good. And then, this is just what I'm going to house it in. I'm not going to serve this. Even if it's for me, I'm not going to serve it right out of that. In fact, I was thinking for dinner I would have a charcuterie board. You could, I have individual and group-sized charcuterie boards. This is an individual one when it's just me. I've got some Italian cold cuts that are really, really good. Or you could even serve this if it was just you. A little piece of depression glass. This is my favorite pattern, American Sweetheart. Little antique salt cellar. There's your cheese and your crackers for you and you and a special friend. Or you could serve it in something bigger, right? Whoops. Like this, pinch pot, or something like this. This is another piece of glass I collect, which isn't that pretty. Etched glass from the 1920s. Or what the heck, I guess you could just eat it out of the serving bowl. But eat it, I will do, and it will be so good, it'll be even better tomorrow. Super easy. You probably already have those dried herbs sitting in your cabinet anyway, and you gotta use them. They don't last forever. Put them to good use. That was the last of my dried basil. You might have to step out to get the fresh chives or the cottage cheese, but you probably have everything right there in your house. Make this for your friends, let it meld in the refrigerator, and have it with some crudités, some carrots and peppers, some crackers, some homemade crackers. I'm going to make homemade crackers for you guys this spring or summer and show you how you can really elevate crackers and have them be out of this world. But anyway, make this and enjoy it, and enjoy your day wherever you're at. I hope it's warm and sunny and you were taking very good care of yourself. And I will see you next Sunday. All right?